Whoops. Hello. I was streaming a little bit and then did not uh you know change my or set up my models, so we get evening face. Um Welcome to episode 2 or entry 2. Nothing really that exciting, I guess. I haven't really wanted to deep dive since it was like Monday, episode 1 or entry 1. It's currently 10:10 p.m. Synchronicity, I guess. At on the 25th of October. Excuse my greasy hair. But I guess today's topic is, excuse me, maybe more on limiting beliefs and or trying to figure out what path to take. But I feel like limiting beliefs, trying to identify what my limiting beliefs are, would be more interesting. What is a limiting belief? Let's go with that first. Let's Google that. So Google says, ow, my shoulder, a limiting belief is a state of mind or a belief that restricts yourself, right? But how do you find out what your limiting beliefs are if you have set up the mindset to believe that it isn't a limiting belief? Good question. I guess my fucking mic arm is struggling a bit here. I guess let's say, or let's think about it for a second, but I would assume mine's would be that I can't, like, it's not that I can't financially or I can't do something in a sense, but it's being more afraid to do the thing, right? Like, I have a spirit board that I bought to try and use, and I believe or I feel like I shouldn't or I can't use it because I am not prepared for it, right? Or starting a business and or jumping into whatever spirit has for me or the universe has for me. Because I have, I think, been ingrained from young that it is good to look for stability and it's good to, look for things that can basically keep you from being on the streets or being broke or struggling. Have I taken that into sense financially? No, but I do know that regardless of how much I make or what my situation is, I can still pay my bills. I can still survive, but it's just not the best, right? Like, I have terrible spending habits, terrible saving habits, and I just basically end up kind of throwing everything in a sense out the window. I have always wanted to start a business. When I was younger, I did resale of opened albums, old albums that I pulled the photo cards out of. Did I make any money from that? No, but nowadays I think I would like to start another business or something that I may enjoy a little bit more. maybe a candle business, as most apparently practitioners, witchcraft practitioners, do for some reason. Or, you know, I don't know, people apparently in the spiritual side aspect kind of get into candles, that I've noticed. Not always, but they do. I guess because maybe it's easy, you know. But I was thinking about that. But my one biggest fear is starting a business and not being able to have customers or clients or anything. And while I know the universe will kind of guide me in the path that I need to go, it's just scary, you know? I guess my other limiting belief, or I guess it's not really a limiting belief, but it's more of a personal belief, is like, or maybe a little bit of a rebellious act, really, is not wanting to continue my education. I've had people in my life kind of, I guess, try to financially motivate me or bribe me into going to school by saying, like, more schooling you have, once you're done, we will give you a financial reward. And I kind of just don't feel like that's the thing for me. And while I would like better pay, I just don't want to kind of sell my soul, I guess, to my job that I don't enjoy, or anything that I haven't come to find that I enjoy, you know? But trying to find something that I do enjoy is like finding a needle in a haystack, because while you see in the background here, I have crafting projects, or you see me currently in this video, I do stream also on the side. Well, not really consistently anymore, but I have streamed on the side. I do paper crafting. I do a lot of things, right? But none of it sticks. None of it is something I think I would enjoy as a career, or think I could make into a career. Even now I find trouble talking for this video. It's not something that I'm used to. I spend most of my days pretty silent, occasionally bursting in anger because I think people suck at driving and stuff. But yeah. But I don't know, like, how do you practice something or get over something that you aren't used to identifying? I guess another self-limiting belief is like, you're not, a common one at least, is like, you're not good enough. I think that might not be a problem, but I do kind of tend to beat myself down for doing something wrong. It's not really that I'm not good enough or I could have done that, but it's more of like, I could have done that better, I guess. I really don't care how people see me, because I feel like I've kind of gotten over that growing up. Or I've kind of put into the sense of like faking my self-confidence, that it doesn't really matter anymore. But I do believe like my actions are never good enough. Like, I never do anything that's perfect, even though sometimes in the end it really doesn't matter, and I am satisfied with what I do or how I did it. But I just felt, I guess, I just feel like it could have been faster maybe, or it could have been better. It could have been clean from the start. I guess in a sense, maybe one of my limiting beliefs could be energy factor, like in a sense, like procrastination in terms of housework, because I really hate doing the housework and it's a struggle for me. I don't want to disconnect this, but I really would like to put this up here so that it hangs a little bit higher. Sorry, distractions, mental distractions. But yeah, I don't know. I think identifying a limiting belief is as it is hard, because I think you've kind of masked that in a way that makes it now harder to identify, and trying to, identify where it came from is difficult. Whereas I kind of know where mine's came from, but I don't really know what the problem is. I think that's interesting in a way, because I know a lot of mine stem from my childhood and growing up with family members, as I mentioned in the last video, who favor certain people in my lives. And while I don't rag on my parents really that often for choosing to, have me because my grandma was sick, and thus, they wanted to give my grandmother grandchildren, or kind of choosing to give us a stable livelihood. But I wished, or I feel like it could have been a little bit more family based, maybe kind of a little bit more focused, where they paid attention to me and my sibling a little bit more. But I don't think, even if they did change that, that was in, their blood or their mindset. Like, they aren't familiar with opening up. I don't think they were, or even are, still familiar with kind of listening rather than just letting it go in, kind of process and then disappear. Because I know my mother has a problem with that. You will tell her something, she says she understands, and then it just kind of disappears, and she just doesn't care anymore. It's not like she doesn't care, maybe. I think it's more of like she forgets. I know things come with age, but it's just kind of frustrating. Potentially growing up to kind of wishing that we were more supported in the backgrounds, rather than forced to do things, or kind of do things that didn't entertain us. One thing I remember very clearly was in the past, my mom taking me somewhere or going home. I think maybe it was a movie or something. I don't remember. I just remember it being the two of us. And she'd ask what I wanted to do for the future or something like that. I remember saying something along the lines of maybe graphic designing or something computer related. Something that didn't make sense at the time. And she shut that shit down. She was like, that's stupid. Like, you're not going to make any money. While whether I believe it or not, nowadays, I really don't know. But for someone growing up and hoping that your parents would support you, that's kind of like, damn, that sucks. And the way I grew up as well in school, I clearly remember having a parent-teacher conversation, and my teacher kind of being like, you might want to get her checked out. Like, either she's dumb, or, she got a little bit of something going on the brain. My mom being very upset, and I think we couldn't afford the testing either. But it was kind of like, well, whether you need a diagnosis or not, it kind of would help to understand why you act a certain way. And now as an adult, I personally don't think my insurance can afford a diagnosis. I've never asked, I've never checked them, but I figured it would cost quite a bit. And I don't even know if I need it necessarily. But I think it's a bit frustrating in a sense, where you get shut down kind of growing up. I don't know, limiting beliefs are hard to identify, in my opinion, when you've kind of layered on too many masks to, you know, kind of cover yourself. But kind of trying to figure out, once you've identified it, like, how do you overcome it? Let's say starting a business is the problem, or believing that I can't do something successfully. How would I identify that, you know? Sorry, I'm skimming through a little article on the side about beliefs. I'm trying to figure out, like, how would we unravel something that we've built for ourselves? I guess it's just basically tearing down that wall and replacing what you've built with different thoughts. Because realistically, I don't see how that would work. Or maybe just doing it, I guess. Right? Like, concept of business, right? If I wanted to start it, I might as well just do it, rather than sitting here and being like, I don't know, you know? Which I guess that makes sense. I don't, again, I don't know. I think I've masked a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my things, my opinions, for such a long time that it's kind of hard to really identify and how to kind of bypass all of the layers that I've built for myself, and trying to, I guess, find the thing that really makes me happy, or really the thing that I want to do. You know what? Maybe the next paycheck I will actually buy supplies, not to start the business, but to kind of see if the hobby, or this concept is something that I really enjoy. Um, Maybe I will actually end up just making gifts, and then eventually, if it seems like the people around me enjoy it, or the things that I do is fun, um, maybe we'll turn it into a business. And what's another candle business in a sea of candle businesses, you know? I don't know. I think, in an opinion, going into a saturated business idea is just dumb. But at the same time, I understand, like, well, not every businesses are the same. I just feel like, you know, how do you approach it? Mm, Sorry, I was thinking, because I'm reading something that's over here and trying to think of what to say next without having to kind of, I guess, deep dive too much into my livelihood just yet. Like, I don't remember much of it. I don't remember really any of it at all. Um, I don't, I feel like it was like walking through the motions of life, and just not quite hatred, but a lot of dislike for my family members and my cousins and stuff like that. So it's kind of just all mushed into this one, like, big orb of like negative memories. And my childhood, even outside of that family household, was just all like, again, that one big orb of like negative memories. So trying to identify what I want to talk about and not feel, you know, like I'm overexposing myself is difficult. like I really want to figure out how to reconnect with source or reconnect with spirit, but I don't know where to start. Like, how do you practice your intuition? How do you get over thought processes? It takes a long time, I get it, but in the same breath, it's like, how do you kind of work on unraveling or shedding light to something that you have built for so long? I guess that's why these episodes exist, mostly for me, but I guess that's why these exist, because I feel like potentially people may have the same struggle. While these are not tagged, this is not a tagged video or anything, but people do have that same struggle, and maybe these, if they are watching this long, this is something that potentially can help someone think about the things that they have going on in their own lives and try to bring a different perspective to it. Or maybe it's just another way for me to kind of put my thoughts that kind of run in my head out onto paper, but it's not really paper, it's just into a format that works best for me. Because I struggle to journal. I really like crafting. I'm not very much of an active person, so it's like really hard to figure out what's the sweet spot. It's like floating out at sea, being unable to see where land is. That's how I feel like I move around in life. Like, I'm just kind of going with that flow and just hoping that I would run into something that kind of either sticks or it just entertains me long enough until I have to keep going forward again. And I'm not getting any younger, okay? It's just really difficult to understand, though, and try to find what works for me as a person. I don't know, maybe sitting down with the spirit board might be a way to start. Most people do tarot and oracle cards. I've done that. Trust. Not really my thing. I don't really understand it. Maybe it's time. Done the pendulum as well. Maybe it's time to just sit down with the spirit board and kind of see what it has to tell me. Maybe I'll get more clearer answers from that. This meditation don't work for me. Journaling, physical journaling doesn't work for me. I don't understand tarot because my brain just can't absorb all the meanings and the information that comes with it. The pendulum, either I'm just kind of, if the pendulum is here, I'm like all the way back here trying to receive answers, and it just energetically just does not work out. So I don't know, maybe the spirit board? I don't know. But just a lot of things I need to do in terms of, I guess, reconnecting. Maybe try something different. Maybe, practice my intuitions. I don't know. How do you even hone your intuitions? Let's see what Google has to say. Google says meditate. A technology fast. Doodle art journal. Generic journaling. Not much of a writer. Not much of a meditator. And again, I grew up with Buddhism. So meditation is not really something that's difficult for me, technically, but I'm not a visualizer in the mental sense. I'm a visualizer in a physical sense. Like, I need to physically see what's going on, which I guess makes sense for my need of constant confirmations. and wanting to see things clearly, or kind of receive the answer in a way that makes sense to me. Which I guess doesn't really always work with spirit. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to do that. But we will see. I feel like maybe I'm not fully deeply in my intuition, but I do feel like my intuition, I do trust it to a degree, or, you know, understand it. But yeah, guess it could be better. You know, that's what they say upstairs. I guess it could be better rather than, you know, more than what I believe in. Yeah, you know, I guess that's what we will do. Get over the kind of not quite skepticism, but that kind of wall of not wanting to use the spirit board, and maybe just use the spirit board. And for all that, if anyone's out there who's reached this far, the spirit board is a Ouija board, okay? I just think spirit board is just easier. It's a little bit smoother in syllables for me to say than Ouija board, so. But maybe that's the way to go. I'll be real. I'm not quite afraid of the concept of the dark things. Possibly because I've dealt with depression and sadness most of my life, or have been in such a negative mindset for most of my life that spooky things don't seem that scary. But I've talked to a friend about this and they're kind of like, you're probably just being naive. And maybe I am, but to me, it really doesn't. Like, what is there to fear? If you're not afraid of it, then what are they just gonna do? Maybe, yeah, I am a little bit like reactive to noises and stuff, but it's like, okay, if I can't find the solution, then it's just something that happened, right? I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways, this has probably gone long enough. And I don't feel like we've gone really anywhere. So maybe we will just end it for the day, and maybe I'll check back between my craftings of spell works or stuff and keep you updated. I did do a money bowl spell at one point. I did do a protective spell at another point. So we'll see how this works. We'll see how it goes. Maybe, you know, opening up a portal in the middle of my fucking living room will test the boundaries of the reaction of the protection spell jar. Maybe not. But yeah, I'm gonna head out now. It is almost 11 p.m. and 39 to be exact, as it says on the clock up here. But hope you all have a good one. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching. But if you didn't reach this far, all right, because I don't expect people to be watching videos this long, and especially of me just casually talking about the random things in my life. But you know, catch you all later. Bye guys.